Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So in this video, I'm diving back into the world of Blankos Block Party, which has sort of been re-energized in recent weeks with the launch of the game via the Epic Game Store. So it's been available as a PC download from Mythic, the developer, but now it's gone through this Epic store, which obviously a lot of people sort of use. There's not been any sort of numbers out apart from how many have been downloaded. We've seen like a little uptick in the price of some of these NFTs, but no, nothing sort of enormous. But it's just sort of maybe it's just me sort of re-engage me a little bit. There's also been some new drops. So there's been the Atari drop, one of the which we're looking at now. There's a new Godzilla one. There's a new battle pass as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in terms of new characters. And one thing I was just started noticing was that there's a lot more serial number ones that are available. Now I've not really noticed that before. I did actually a long time ago buy one serial number one. So actually, how Blankos works is there are these Blankos, about 130 of them now, I think, and they're available in different sort of supply. So there's I think it's, the smallest one. There's only one golden ticket, so he's obviously a one of one. But all the other ones are sort of there may be a few hundred or maybe a few thousand. Some even go up to, I think the biggest one was 50,000, which was the one done with the Amazon Prime drop. So there's a whole bunch of these, and basically people sort of price them on the lower the serial number, the sort of higher the value. Basically, sort of how it works. But clearly, the number one would always be the most valuable one because that's the first one. And generally, I hadn't seen a lot of number one Blankos being sold. And if they were, they tended to be for enormous value. But now, actually, it may just be because new people are coming in. It may just be because people who've got these number ones are now, thinking they've held them for a year or something. It was time to sort of sell out and see if they can sell them. So I did a little, like I always do, a spreadsheet. So I've been looking through, and obviously this may, by the time you watch the video, this may change because these things are being traded and bought and sold all the time. But anyway, this is when I did this. So this is all the Blankos here. Enormous number, whatever there is, 130 or so. And I basically just manually looked through to see if there are any number ones for sale. So in fact, there were 43 when I looked. There were 43 number one Blankos for sale, which is quite a lot. So that's what's that going to be? It's going to be like somewhere between a third and a quarter of all the Blankos that have ever been released had their number one on sale. Now, obviously, people being people, there are some ridiculous prices going on here. So there's a whole weird thing going on with Honey Bun that actually someone's bought the serial numbers 1 to 10 and just put them all on price, put them all for sale for $69 million, 69.99. So there's a whole meme thing going on here with Honey Bun for some reason. And some of these other ones, people are trying to sell these for over $1 million, clearly bonkers, even for hundreds of thousands of dollars, even for the rarest Blanko. I don't actually know what the most expensive Blanko ever to be sold is. I think we've definitely seen some for tens of thousands, probably at the peak of the market, but I don't think anyone's sold anything for 100,000, not that I've seen. And actually, when we get here, we start to see actually there's some pretty, I'm going to say decent value. This is obviously in the eye of the beholder, whether you be prepared to spend thousands of dollars on something that is it's an NFT, and you can take it out to Ethereum. At the moment, these are NFTs running on the sort of mythical chain, which is opening up, and there's a whole kind of thing going on with they launching a token and a DAO and a foundation and blah blah blah. But let's put that to the side. This is still spending reasonably large chunks of money on digital sort of items. But it is interesting that so what I've done here is this is the price that they're selling for. So you can actually get this one Zeta Animatra is actually $888 at the moment. So this is actually one that's being what they call gem rushed at the moment. So you can take the original Zeta, you can level it up and then mash it together to create this new one, and then if you get two of those and level them up and mash them together, you get another one. So there's like a progression, a fusion sort of process. So anyway, so the number one of these is currently available for 888. There's Don Pugulio, which again is another. It's the sort of the mid range of another gem rush that happened a while ago for the Pug character. So these are sort of. They're interesting, but I suppose that they're not. They're sort of in between characters, so maybe that's why they're sort of priced like that. Candy is a new one that's just dropped, which is actually you get that as like a we're calling it like a bundle, like a first users bundle. So you buy candy and you get a whole bunch of sort of in-game sort of stuff and sort of currencies and stuff. So it's under $1,000. Centipede is one of the new Atari ones. It's $1,000. Well, what I've done here is I've looked here at what is the floor price. So the floor price is, what is the cheapest one of these you can buy. So obviously at a very high serial number, and this is the #1 serial number, and just done a little ratio here. So if you want to order by sort of the, we could think of this as which is the best value in terms of the price of the #1 compared to the floor price. Actually, it's Mini B. So Mini B was the second Blankos drop that Blankos did with the fashion brand Burberry. So Mini B, I think, was $350. I think it's the most expensive one that's ever gone out on the floor as a shop. Not very many of these, so only 193. This is column B is how many what the total supply is. So only 193 Mini Bs were ever created. That's limited. And given that the current cheapest one is $425, then the #1 being $1,779 is actually really good value. I mean, obviously it's $1,779, but ordering it here, that's what you get. The other way of sort of ordering it is if you look at the how many are out there. So again, I've done the wrong way around. So if you sort of take the price, the price of the #1 serial number and how many are out there. So the fewer there are out there, the sort of the rarer they are. So they tend to be the higher price they are. Again, Mini B is ranked best on that because there's only 193 of those. The Don Puglio is 280. The Zeta is 300. So you can sort of see. Again, it's just different ways. There's no right or wrong answer. But that's what's going on there. So yeah, this is clearly not investment advice. And it's also one of the problems with Blankos, I suppose, is that while having the #1 in any series is going to sort of be the, you're able to sort of set the price on that. There's actually there's very low liquidity because one, it's going to be super expensive. So there's only a certain set of people who are going to be interested in buying these. So there may be a certain type of player of Blankos or NFT collector who basically wants to collect Blankos. There's no point collecting the floor price because you're never going to sort of make money off those if they're not going to go up enough unless you own lots of them. So there may be people collecting and coming in and owning the #1. So that but there's not going to be very many of those. And if sort of the collection, if Blankos as a sort of collection keeps going down in price, then no one's going to be coming in with lots of money to invest in high-end assets in the project. So this is definitely not investment advice. I just thought it was interesting that I was surprised so many of these #1s are now available. So you could see that as a strong sign or a weak sign, given people want to sort of sell out. But actually, when I bought my #1, this is years ago now, a year ago at least, I spent $2,000 on that to get a #1, and at the time I thought that was a fairly good deal because the price of Blankos was much higher. So it does go to show that I think, not that that's the be all and end all sort of context. But certainly these ones under $1,000, I think, if you had $1,000 that you were going to spend in Blankos, those would actually be sort of fairly sort of interesting deals. And even something like this one, Mothra is the one just dropped from the Godzilla series. There's under 1,000 of those, so $1,200 for the #1 serial number of those. I think is pretty interesting. I'd say not that I'm going to be buying these, but it is interesting to think about this. And I think in the long term now, with Blankos being sort of the biggest game on the Mythical chain, and Mythical chain sort of branching out, becoming more decentralized and cross-chain and stuff, I think we'll start to be interesting. I think people will start valuing Blankos not for necessarily the value they have within Blankos, but potentially they can come out and be used in other games or just as we've seen with Ethereum. There's not really been a lot of trading of the Blanko NFTs on Ethereum because they don't really have any utility and they're not one-offs. They're sort of one of a big series, so it's kind of hard to kind of value them. But anyway, just some thoughts around that. So thanks for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel and see you next time.